Hey guys, welcome to the Rational Optimization Podcast. My guest today is Wouter Smeets. He's the founder of the startup Mindtrospect. It's the startup that sells that sells truffles together with the book and different accessories. So it's like a program where you take microdoses of those truffles for 1 month, and it really guides you through this. I met him today in the sauna, and when we started talking about this, I was like, damn, this is so interesting. I want to have you on my podcast. So I was like, I have a spot free today, like after I record another podcast. And he was like, why not? I'm in. So this is how this all happened. It was really interesting to talk about him, about the process of designing the product and how this all works. By the way, he studies entrepreneurship, and to talk about this. And in the end, we also went deep into philosophy, like we nearly always do on this podcast. And we started to talk about non-duality. We started to talk about the difference between accepting and wanting. We started to question if it's okay to not want anything anymore. And I really enjoyed also this philosophical, deep conversation, discussion part. And enjoy. Mindtrospect. Okay. So you have a startup.
I do.
Called Mindtrospect. And you sell truffles online.
Yes.
Maybe start by explaining what exactly is the business model of the podcast.
All right. So the business model is we sell truffles, shrooms, but mainly we focus on what method to accompany the effects of the truffles with. And so we try to make it more accessible to a wider public by letting people microdose and not take full doses. And with that, we provide daily guidance through the form of an interactive book that provides daily content that people can engage with, and that is supposed to assist the effects of the truffles in such a way that people can benefit from it in a meaningful way.
Okay, so I could go like when you're still not on your first. You still didn't ship your first product, right?
No. I should also be clear on, I didn't really explain the business model yet. So kind of what we do is we sell a complete package of the book, the truffles, a pen and a weighing scale that people can buy from our website, which is meant to provide a complete experience where people can even opt to get extra assistance or guidance from one-on-one professionals. But that's, Okay, So you have like the full package, and you can like the professional guidance would be like an extra thing you can book. Potentially, I don't really know yet because we're still developing. We've been developing for 2 years, and I guess it will take 1 or 2 more months till we start to enter the market.
Yeah. We means you have like a business partner, or?
It is mostly me, but I'm getting help from many people that do it on goodwill, because I've been mostly relying on people that just think whatever I do is interesting, or they are passionate about psychedelics as well, want to help me out, ranging from psychologists to this week I had a call with a guy who is a professional in the field of sounds and music, on how to change consciousness through that medium. And so I was wondering how I can integrate that with the videos and the book I provide. So we try to make it as immersive as possible, and so I try to also get people involved that know how to change senses or to influence them in a proper way.
That's cool. Like,
it's probably, a lot, huh?
I probably shouldn't tell you about like stuff about psychedelics, but like Andrew Huberman made a podcast about psychedelics like this stuff. He said that like the music is one of like the most impactful things. Or in the, I think they made like the psychedelic treatments where you like wear an eye mask and only listen to music for like I don't know how long, but there, like, the music is very important.
Yes, there's a lot of research also being done on, I mean, the impact of music in general, but also during a psychedelic trip, what benefits it can have. It's quite interesting.
How did you come up with the idea? Like, how did this start?
I have been doing shrooms, I guess, since I was 18, 19.
How old are you now?
23.
23, okay.
And I just did some research on it, and then I thought, well, why would I not do it? I had never really done any sorts of drugs before, apart from weed. And then, then I tried it, and it was a cool experience. I didn't think much of it, but then I did it a few more times mostly with friends, having fun, as you do at a very young age, also to some extent naive, exploring, all fun and stuff. And then during a project in the course I'm doing, which is entrepreneurship and business innovation, we had to form an idea which we could potentially earn revenue from. And I thought, well, okay, what am I passionate about? What do I like? And I thought, well, shrooms. And so I started investigating the market, and I saw that in general, there's such a misconception about what it is, what the effects do. It's, I mean, currently it's still being sold as a trippy drug or something. I mean, people don't really know what it does to the brain, and I think it's very interesting what it does to the brain. It's very neutral, and that's what I think it's all about. And that's why I also think labeling it as a drug or something that changes something as if you're using another drug, like, I don't know, ecstasy or whatever, is it's just detrimental to what it could be like, and to how people could benefit from this substance. And then I thought, well, yeah, let's develop something. And for the past 2 years, it's been a bit of a project of mine on the side of everything I do. And yeah.
Okay, so you didn't go into entrepreneurship with the idea of this startup?
No, I mean, I've never been that engaged with school or whatever. And so when I started studying, I thought, well, let me do something practical, which was entrepreneurship. It's not really in line with my passion or my interest or whatever, but it is very practical, because it is to bring an idea, or to bring an idea into fruition. You need a very practical set of skills, and I guess entrepreneurship makes you think in such a way where you can implement your ideas in a very practical way in society. Yeah.
So you just had this idea, and then you were just like starting to build out this product.
Yeah. And yes, mostly. And first I started off with another guy, but our interest eventually didn't really align, because at some point, because we were focusing so much on the method that we were creating with the truffles, is also quite dependent on an individual mindset you have, and your vision on what is good, what is not, what content should people be provided with. And also I'm quite, I guess some people would call me a perfectionist. I just call myself, I don't know, I just require a bit of time, I guess. And so I've just been creating something that I think is cool, and nothing more or less than that. And firstly, it was more centered on accessing the market kind of as fast as possible. And now it's not really like that anymore. I'm just making something I think is cool and people can benefit from. And if that would be the case, then I will find out later along the line. And this is also in contrast with everything we've been taught with my studies, for example, because we're taught to analyze from the top down. You have to identify the market gaps, which I mean, I guess I've done that a little bit, but then consequently you need to constantly engage with the market, and I haven't really done that. I've been focusing on creating something that I think is of value myself, and well, yeah, we'll see if that's the case or not in the future, but at least I will have something I think I can look back on as a nice project.
How did you went up on trying to create this? Because, like, your idea, what was your initial idea? Was it the same as you have now, or?
No, because it was, I mean, even 3 years ago, I guess, it was just, we wanted to make microdosing more accessible, but we didn't really have an idea of how we were going to do that and how we were going to provide value, additional value to people who would just take microdoses. And then we started analyzing, and we saw that microdosing itself doesn't necessarily do that much, but is very much dependent on what intention people set for themselves. And so then we thought, okay, there's room for some, I don't know, for some growth or something we could provide. Yeah.
Okay, so it was built on the idea of microdosing, and then like everything around you built yourself, like came over time.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, initially it was built on the interest in psychedelics, and then you have to, of course, act within the confinements of the system, which only allow you to sell one psychedelic, which is truffles, not shrooms or LSD, for example. And then you also have to be responsible and also take your responsibility, because if you're going to sell full doses, for example, where the benefit could be more, you're also taking more risk, because people can also have negative experiences, you know. So that's what led us also to do microdosing, and I think it's a great way for people that don't have the space to have such an intrusive experience in their life, because it's not something you just do, especially if you work, if you have, not even work, if you just have some form of structure in your life, psychedelics can really disrupt that, and not everybody is ready for that. And so microdosing opens up the opportunity to integrate that in your life in a more convenient manner, I'd say.
Okay, so the idea of microdosing, I understand. So the idea of microdosing, it's nice for people as well. It's a nice opportunity, and it's also not as risky to sell like a microdosing product. But if you would sell like a high dose product, then you would have a lot of risk of people having like bad trips and coming back to you as being like
yeah. I mean, all in all things considered, it was just the most accessible thing for us to I guess to involve a passion into something that would also be, I guess, attainable or realistic, to make something out of it, you know. And that's where it started, and consequently it hasn't been about the truffles at all. That's just been on the side, because in the end, the only thing I can tell you a bit about of what I guess you were I guess you were going there. What the truffles do is they enhance your neuroplasticity. I mean, there's still a lot of research being done on this, and so your brain, the older you get, also gets more and more established, let's say. So when you're a kid, you can pick up things really quickly, and your neuroplasticity, as they call it, is higher. And the older you get, the more that diminishes. And if you do psychedelics, there's a window of opportunity where where basically your different regions of the brain make connections with each other where they would normally not do it as much. And so what that does is it makes you less bound to any perspective you've developed in your past, and opens up the opportunity to adopt any new perspective. It makes you very neutral and open. People can be, and this is where all the, I guess, anecdotes come in, where people experience some form of unity or peace with themselves or their surroundings. And that makes sense if you look at it now. And that's why I think the research that's being done now is very interesting. Is if you look at the effects, you can see that the only thing that happens is your brain is just making connection with itself. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so you open up the possibility to learn more or to change your brain more,
I guess. But that's not, I mean, that's not necessarily what it's about. As I said, when I was younger, I was doing the experiences for the experiences themselves, you know, because it's not about necessarily going somewhere with it. That's also what we try to make clear while microdosing, you know. It's about the things that happen, and consequently, yes, also the things that you do with those effects, because eventually that's what it all comes down to.
So is there no, like what you just said, microdosing this product is for microdosing for microdosing's sake, or for the sake of like having an improvement in life afterwards?
No, mostly about the second. Also, I'd like to make clear, microdosing is you take a sub-perceptual dose. I guess not everybody will know that. So you take a dose which you don't trip on, but the idea is that over time you will still experience the benefits, because there is still this subtle effect on the brain, even though you don't experience it perceptually. There is still some form of effect, which indeed that's what I guess your point ties into. If used in a good way, then you can improve your life in very, I guess, different ways. And that's what we try to do by providing people with this book that provides daily videos and also interactive content like questions, and they can write. And we don't try to provide any narrative that makes people go into one direction. Good band, by the way.
One day, yeah.
No, sorry, shit joke. And consequently make them realize that your life basically is all the experiences you have, and you have a say in that. Yeah. And so it's to make people conscious of that, and to make people aware of them being the author of their own story, let's say. And that's where it all starts, and then we tie into different concepts, starting with the will, the value of the will itself, and basically also making people understand that our life doesn't have to be treated as some form of instrumental thing. In a sense, I guess your podcast is about defining goals for yourself.
Yeah, about searching for what is the most, what is all things considered the most rational thing one can do.
Right.
So philosophical, searching for the best possible goals and the best possible ways to achieve them. Yeah.
Yes. We can talk about that.
Yeah, we can. But let's stay.
Yes. No, but I mean, it's got to do with that, because what should you do, and why should you even want to do something? In the sense of why should you want to strive to be somewhere else than you are now? And so it's about finding and striking the balance of being okay with whatever is now. And if you are, then consequently that also opens up the opportunity to be something else in the future. And of course, there's always this paradox and these challenges that come with it. And it's a multifaceted thing, and it requires a lot of nuance and explaining and stuff. But that's what the guidebook of Mindtrospect aims to do.
So you have in the guidebook, you have like the questions about the value of will, what you just said?
No, so yeah, but that's just the first day, let's say. So you explain, because that's where it all starts, right? Yeah. It's, when do you will something? How do you use your will to, and why? How do you value that for its own sake, without trying to attain something like an end? Because we always treat the will as a means to an end. And how do you come to base your actions just on the will alone, basically? And why should you?
Okay, so it's also pretty philosophical.
It is. But then we also try to make it, accessible to everybody, because philosophy is life. It's the art of life.
Yeah.
So,
when you take a microdose, do you feel anything?
It depends. Let's say the traditional idea of microdosing is that you don't feel anything consciously, but I think it's a bit of I don't know. It's the line between feeling something consciously and subconsciously is very fine, because if you pay enough attention, you can experience everything consciously. And some people take it and they say they experience it consciously, but still consider it as a microdose for themselves, because they are able to continue their everyday tasks like normal. And some people take microdoses and they don't feel anything, but then they still think, or they say that after a while they notice that there have been some increase of benefits in their lives, let's say. That's it. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I would like buy this,
Yes.
it's just like you get the truffles, you get the book, you get the scale,
Yes.
you get the pen, and
Yes.
then there's like every day there's some instructions on like how much to take, how much to and something to read, or
Yes, but it's quite straightforward. So it's 1 day off and 1 day on, 1 day on, 1 day off.
Oh, okay, for 1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, not 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day on, 1 day off, but 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day
Yeah.
on. But you start with on.
Yeah.
That was unnecessarily complicated. For 1 month, and then indeed there is. You take your time at the start of the day or at the end of the day to engage with the guidebook, and then it also it gives you some guidelines of how you can create the right set and setting in during those 30 days, so you indeed open up the possibility of experiencing more benefits. And of course, there's this idea of placebo. To what extent is it not just you thinking, I'm experiencing some form of benefits, I'm creating, because, for example, we say go for a walk for, I don't know, even 50 minutes outside 1 hour after taking the microdose, that's good either way. It doesn't matter if you take a microdose or not, that's going to positively influence your life. So
True.
It's, a person, an individual can only experience it for themselves, how it can potentially benefit them or not.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, but even if you have like a placebo effect, it's still a positive effect.
That's true. That's true. Yes. But it matters ultimately, because I do believe that the effects of microdosing are quite promising. But that at the same time, it's so dependent on what you do with it. Exactly, because the effects are so subtle. If you take a lot, you can't run away from it or whatever. You can't continue your daily life as you normally would. But if you take a microdose, you can. And many people do, and then don't really experience. There's nothing that changes fundamentally in their life, because they don't make use of these effects that happen in your brain that make it more connected with itself. It shuts down the default mode network, which is called. It's kind of. I think it's what
fight or flight system, or
it's mostly what your ego consists of. It's like your automatic reactions on things that happen. This shuts down. Not completely, of course, but even if you take subtle doses of psilocybin, which is the active compound of truffles, it becomes less active, and this has also been shown even with microdosing. And when this shuts down a bit, then there's more room to adopt newer perspectives. And I think that's quite important to make use of in a useful way. But if you don't change anything in your life, or don't have anything that's providing you those new perspectives, then not that much is going to change.
You just change your plasticity of your brain for like a month, but you don't. Yeah, you don't change something. You don't. Yes. Okay, I understand.
But I think in the book and during the whole protocol, it's explained in a much better way, and you really get guided into it and into why to do certain things or why not to do certain things, and
Do you know how the studies are on like microdosing, on the effects?
Yes, there have been some studies. Some have been positive. Some have also had this notion of placebo or not. I think there's quite a lot still going on. I don't know many specifics, because it's also not that relevant for me, because it is. I am interested in general in the studies about psilocybin and LSD and also ketamine. I think all quite interesting substances. But since truffles are already legal in the Netherlands, and I have experienced the effects for myself, and have seen what effects it has on other people, I kind of have quite a concrete image in my head of what it does and of what opportunities it provides. Also by having talked to many, experts in the field, psychologists. I went to a conference in Exeter in England a few months ago about psychedelics, which was the biggest psychedelic conference ever had. And it was really interesting, and you get into contact with all these people that have got some ties with psychedelics, and it's really interesting to hear all the views on it, and the positivism about the substance and what it can bring forth in this world. And I think it can do a lot of things if it's used in the right way, even with all the mental health issues that we're currently facing. For example, depression. The longer you have depression, the more difficult it also becomes to get out of it, because your brain creates this constant feedback loop of I'm depressed, and so the longer you are depressed, the harder it is to become, I guess, sane again. I mean, not that, but
not depressed.
Yes. And that's also where psychedelics come in, because you open up this opportunity for people that are depressed to kind of break out their normal way of thinking, which has become normal for them, which isn't normal, because being depressed is not a natural state of being, but people can feel that way. And when you take shrooms, you're provided with this opportunity to be somewhat more neutral again, and to let your brain form neural connections that haven't been formed in a long time because you have been depressed. And I think that it also requires a lot of caution, because especially people that are depressed, it can also go in wrong directions, because you realize how you just get confronted with reality, basically. And that's what truffles are, or psychedelics in general, are all about. You get confronted with whatever already was.
How do you mean this?
Well, if you take psychedelics, you get confronted and you get to see with everything that already is or was.
Like how? Because if give an example,
right,
maybe from your life or something. I don't know.
Well, for example, certain traumas that you haven't considered for a long time, when you do psychedelics, they arise to the surface because they are very much present in your brain. They are there all the time. They influence everything you do in your daily life, but you're just not aware of it. And if you take psychedelics, the only thing that it does, it combines, not combines, but it links your different regions of the brain to each other. That's all it does. People think that you experience differently, but that's not really what happens. You just experience what is in a different way.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so you get confronted with anything that already is.
So you can literally, you can imagine there's like a brain structure that we call trauma, or there's like something that we call trauma in your brain.
Right.
And in your normal life, it is just there, and like somehow your consciousness is like separate from it. But if you take shrooms, it connects to everything else, and then you like really see what is there.
Sure. But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, consciousness isn't separate from it. It's influenced by it consciously. Constantly, sorry. You're just not conscious or aware of it.
So, okay. You it's not that it's not there in a healthy way. It is there all the time. It influences you all the time. And the only way to a way to get on terms with it is by taking, for example,
or going to therapy or whatever. I mean, I'm also not advocating for this substance to be some form of magic pill, because it's definitely not. This is a common misconception, I guess. But it does open up the opportunity to be more in touch with yourself.
Okay, so if we get like the real I don't know, could you call it like a utilitarian view? I don't know. Do you
Sure.
view like no? What exactly like what are the uses? It's like one, it fast tracks the neuroplasticity in your brain.
Sure.
Like you can learn much faster. You can change your habits. You can change like you could change your way of thinking much faster than you would without it. Like in this time. The other thing is your brain connects with each other. So that means that you learn, that you experience what is there in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the two main points. Is there one I forgot?
I guess it also connected to each other. I mean, with age, as your brain becomes more and more established and your neural connections further solidify themselves, psychedelics open up the opportunity to break through all those, all that. I guess I don't know if this is a noun, solidification.
I think you can say it like this. Yeah.
All right. To adopt new perspectives, but not. It's often you say things and people hear this and they think, oh, that sounds really interesting. I want to adopt new perspectives. But it's not really about that. You don't adopt new perspectives by adopting new perspectives. You adopt new perspectives by understanding. And I guess that's what it's all about also with Mindtrospect. It's understanding to understand and for nothing else. And then, of course, where there's understanding, there's also growth, I guess. But it starts with the pure form of understanding what you are, where you want to go, what's limiting you, what the limits of, a human being are,
Okay, so yeah, it's more.
But that was quite vague. I didn't really respond concretely to because you wanted to get it down to very practical things, right?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I think it's fine. It's like mainly those two parts, but the thing you said, it's interesting. So you don't like with your product Mindtrospect, you don't really you don't try to nudge someone in any direction. You try to help people understand themselves, and it's not that it's like, oh, buy this and then you will be 100%, like you will be much more productive or something.
No,
it's like take this and then
exactly. I think with all the surface level self-help advice there is, it's all focused on attaining something. Well, no, I haven't really seen it, at least not that much, where people go back to the fundamentals of what is forming your actions and your decisions, and even question why you are looking to change yourself, and what is it in that wanting to change that is also preventing you from something else, let's say. It's very complicated, and it doesn't necessarily bring you anywhere, and that's also, I guess that's what philosophy is also being criticized about often. And so we try to find that balance also by not forcing any narrative, not claiming that people can be more productive or be more this. Well, in general, people tend to be more creative and more compassionate while doing shrooms. That's those two things are. But that's besides the point. I also don't think that people should necessarily use the shrooms for that sake. But yeah, we try to challenge the notion of even doing anything just to improve a certain aspect of yourself, because we think that, or I think, I should mostly talk about I think that also limits yourself in being in the moment, and what other in life can you do other than be, ultimately.
So what would be the reason for people that, if you say it's not about changing something, it's okay. You want to change your way of thinking about it. Yeah.
Like, how are you going to sell this product?
Yeah, exactly.
Basically? Yes. It is difficult because people, you have to market something, and I think the only solution I can find to that is, instead of marketing something, is try to inspire people by saying things that, I guess, hit at them in some way. For example, I think a nice quote is, the ego wants to prove itself, self-esteem wants to express itself, knowing the difference between the two is key to our happiness. Yeah. Again, you can put many question marks to that alone.
The ego wants to prove itself.
Self-esteem wants to express itself. Knowing the difference between the two is the key to our happiness. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe it's just because it's in the moment, but I don't get the point. Like what does this quote try to tell me?
Right.
Like what is the
Right. I think, yes, it also comes from reflection on your own actions, where you come to see that some actions are based on wanting to prove yourself in some ways, and some actions you are able to more freely express yourself. And you will notice that the actions that you do when you're freely expressing yourself can lead to more, let's say, satisfaction than the actions that when you're wanting to prove yourself. But I guess this also comes along in the protocol that we do, because then you make people reflect, then you make them see, and then it's like, okay, but I do have the authority, or the autonomy, I should say, to choose what I give more attention to choose what relationships I build based on that notion. And with that, you're not necessarily aiming to be happy. I think that's something that is often preventing one to be happy. But you're simply observing what effect one thing has on you and what effect another thing has. Another quote is, your life experience, I think I already said something similar, but your life experience equals what you consistently pay attention to. And if you frame that in a nice way, I guess, talking about marketing, people can be like, okay, but what the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm spending, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on social media. I'm not gaining any form of satisfaction or whatever. And then, yeah, you just, I guess it's something. Selling the product is something that I have to work on.
Do you have like a plan how to sell it? Do you want to use like ads or?
No, I think ads is quite difficult.
True, because it's not legal in other countries. Yeah.
But right now there's a guy who's creating a really cool website for me. And again, it's just another one of those things where I'm just focusing on creating something that's just cool. And then, I will have to approach anything I can approach, like this podcast or news articles. I'll have good SEO rankings, stuff like this, and I'll try to, I don't know, maybe social media, but also I can approach retail stores in the Netherlands, stuff like this. Just reach out as much as I can. And then if people are using it and it works, then I truly believe that it will just come from itself. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I think if the idea is good and it can benefit people, then, things will start rolling from themselves. And if not, then that's fine as well. I'm not, there's the thing with any business idea, you want to sell just for the sake of selling, but I don't see the point in that. Because,
it's interesting. Startup founder is not super interested in like growing.
I'm interested in growing, but yes.
But it's not like the main point. Like it's not the only objective.
No,
yeah.
it's not. It's not. And over time, it has become less and less of the objective, I guess.
Yeah. How did you end up to create the product, like the book and stuff? Like, did you just write your thoughts down, or?
Yeah. So the first version was made 2 years ago, a bit more than 2 years ago, and yeah, ever since I've been reading, I've been following philosophy lectures here at university. I've just been trying to involve anything that I learned for myself into the book, and then I get some feedback on it from a psychologist, and she tells me, she told, now she's traveling, but she told me, what's good, what's not, what can I improve, how can I phrase things differently, stuff like this to make it a bit more professional, of course. From that we've been just developing it, and got a guy, and this is so cool with psychedelics because there's people that are very passionate about it, see the potential benefits. They just want to interact and engage with you because they're also passionate about it. So I found a guy who, for free, designed a whole book with like images, whatever. Like he formatted everything. If I would have had to do that myself, it would have taken so much time. So that's really nice stuff. Like that.
Damn, yeah, it's true. Okay, you were also talking about LSD and ketamine.
Sure. Let's get them more.
let's get more, because why? What do you think about those two?
Well, it's such a drug episode of your podcast.
I think,
Jeez, do your parents listen to this?
They will, maybe.
Nice.
I don't know.
Sometimes I do microdoses of LSD myself. I think I prefer that over shrooms because they give you a bit more control in what direction you want to send it, at least for me. So if I want to use it to focus more, let's say, during the day, then to get some tasks done, but also have some, I guess, kind of creative undertone, then LSD can be nice. But small doses, I've rarely taken a full doses of LSD. And I don't know that much about the compound itself, to be honest. But a cool drug.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so just a different drug also to use for microdosing, and
it's also very psychedelic.
Yeah,
it's quite similar to shrooms. It's just, I don't know how you would describe the difference, because whether you do shrooms or LSD or any other kind of drug, you experience reality in a different way. And so all the words that we use in this reality are based on this reality. So any word I would try to put on it is ultimately misplaced, let's say. But I guess the difference between shrooms and LSD is that, at least for me, with shrooms, you get taken into a journey naturally, and it puts you in a place, let's say, and you can't, you can struggle with it, but then the struggle becomes part of the journey, let's say. With LSD, I think it's a bit different, where if you have a bit more control in what direction you want to send it, and I guess you can go to very dark places on LSD, I think, more than shrooms, because it can go into one very specific narrative based on whatever narrative you send it in, while also still providing this very wide view of things. But it can be very specific. Also with shrooms, though, the difference is very subtle. Yeah, and so I guess LSD can also be very, very trippy, and you can see, I don't know, weird stuff. And ketamine is just, it's a bit like dying, I feel like.
Okay.
It just, so it's a tranquilizer originally, and it's now also being used in in treatment-resistant depression. There's a lot of research being done also on its therapeutic benefits. My experience with it is it's just a bit like everything tones down, and so you just become a bit more dead. And you experience that, and I feel like there's a lot to learn from it, but at the same time everything is toned down while you experience it, so it always feels like it tends to provide an answer, but at the same time also raises a question at the same time consistently.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a very vague drug.
I don't really understand
No,
this.
I understand, but that's what drugs are about. How can you explain a drug to somebody who has never taken them?
Yeah. It's like dying.
It is a bit, or I would say it's like becoming cold.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes more sense, but just imagine that everything you see around you is code, which in a way
is
code. Like
yeah.
like we can program anything.
Yeah.
In a way, everything around us is also programmed. Everything has logic. We see that through science, right? I can put a microscope on this bottle of water, and there's logic in it, right? And so essentially, it consists of ones and zeros. And you could say.
Yeah, you could translate it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just very complicated for us to understand its nature and whatever, especially because we have the idea that we're free, or at least have some kind of self-regulation inside of us. But when you do ketamine, that kind of just disappears and you become the cold, whatever that consists of, and you just become a bit more aware of that. It's vague, isn't it? But it makes a bit of sense, no?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't get the mix of code and dying. Like,
but don't you, when you die?
Yeah.
Don't you become the code? If there will be a code, let's say. I'm not saying there is, but let's say there is.
If there is a code, then you are the code right now as well, or aren't you?
True, but the thing with self-consciousness is that you're not aware that you are, or at least we don't think that we are, because we don't think we're ones and zeros. We don't think of ourselves as ones and zeros, but a tree basically is ones and zeros.
I don't see this argument for. I don't see the argument between the difference why a tree should be ones and zeros and we should not.
No, I think we are.
Okay.
It's just that we don't think of ourselves in that way.
Okay. Okay. And when you take ketamine,
yes,
you think about yourself in terms of ones and zeros.
No, I do. Nobody does.
Okay.
No, I feel like you experience that a little bit more because you get tranquilized a bit.
Yeah.
So everything gets toned down. Yeah. Also, you're thinking, so you can have a very sense of ease and peace about you because there's not as much conflict as there normally is in our daily life, because our daily life consistently exists of duality. I think there's an interesting thing about hope. Hope being the thing that makes you look for something, but at the same time also prevents you from attaining that thing.
How do you mean that?
Well, so there's this myth about hope. I don't know, maybe you know Pandora's box. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, I heard of it.
All right, so there's this story of Zeus giving Pandora, a woman, a box. I don't know if I'm going to explain everything completely to the point here, but this box basically contained all evil, and she opens it, and everything is released into the world. In this box, there was also hope, originally being something that's evil, but it was the only thing that remained inside of the box when she opened it. And so there's many interpretations of this myth. I think the one that is quite interesting is that hope remains in the box as originally being evil because it pushes you forward to something that can't be attained. Basically, the thing that you hope for, which makes your life potentially worth living and makes you want to wake up in the morning is also exactly the concept of hope, the longing for it, the looking for it, is exactly the thing that prevents you from what hope is ultimately about, and that is experiencing non-duality or oneness. The experience of not hoping at all, which is just being. I guess that's what the Buddha described in his transcripts.
So you say, is this some? You say this is some kind of goal to experience. I sound really critical, but I this idea of trying to experience non-duality and trying to like inner peace, non-attachment, however you want to call it. Like it's. I really like this idea. So. You say this is some kind of goal that one can have, or is it like your goal?
How can it be a goal? How can it be a goal?
Yeah, are you do you experience non-duality right now?
No.
Yeah, so it can be a goal.
I don't. Shit. Give me ketamine. No.
Just the fact that you are. It can be a goal. Because it can be a goal until the moment you experience it. Don't you agree?
Again?
It can be a goal until the moment where you experience it. Because before you experience non-duality, for people listening, maybe we can explain the word non-duality. You want to try to explain what you mean by it, or should
you go on?
Okay. So I think it's some kind of the feeling, you can correct me if it's like, or not wanting, like maybe this is a good, like you just being and just being fine, being present without any aspirations, any hopes, any goals, any, like, just everything is as it is. Nothing is good, nothing is bad, it just is. And you would like to say it is how it is. Is it good? But it's not good or bad. It just is, and you're totally fine with however it is. And this is a state that like the Buddha allegedly like reached, and that like Buddhists try to reach, I think, and that is really, 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 really hard to reach.
Sure.
Yes. Maybe some psychedelics can give you the fast track, but if you want to reach it through meditation, what many people advise, it is a long road. So now we have to find it.
Yeah. I wanted to add to that. I've been having lectures on Immanuel Kant, and with his main thing I took away from him is that you should treat your existence as an end in itself and not as a mean for something else. And I think if you would be able to appreciate and respect your existence as an end in itself, then you're just being.
How do you mean? Wait, if my experience is an end in itself, so I just live because I don't have any. Yeah, as soon as I don't have any goal, I'm already there.
But this is where the concept of hope also comes in. I think is quite interesting because this myth says that you can't escape from this principle of hope, and I guess this is where many philosophers like Albert Camus, who talks about the myth of Sisyphus, pushing up the hill, comes into play.
2 of his books,
Nice.
He has good books, nice to read. They're
I've never read them.
They're really short and like it's stories, so it's like it's nothing heavy. Like you can't read Nietzsche. I can't read Nietzsche, but
I've started.
I started as well, but I didn't finish. But Camus, you can read it really good. It's sorry.
No. That's nice to know. I want to get into it. So it's like, I guess it's also nice to know the limitations of being free in order to be free, even if that's not really possible potentially. Let's say, even if life were to be a prison, how could you break out of it while seeing it as such?
By breaking out of it.
All right. Fair answer, dude. Fair. Maybe it was also a stupid question, man.
Maybe you have to see the prison as a prison to break out of it. Like it's just a metaphor. It's not doing.
But let's say the Buddha wouldn't say that that's the way to go. About it.
Buddha would say, don't break out of it. Just
be the prison.
just say there is no prison. I'm just.
Sure, but let's say there is.
Yeah.
Maybe there is. I mean, we wouldn't. But you wouldn't define it as a prison, maybe. But maybe there's things that, for example, things like hope, that fundamentally prevent you from attaining that what you are hoping for. Maybe fundamental notions of self-love, improving yourself, are things that are also at the same time preventing us to really be there. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't accept and respect those things as being part of ourselves, because even if you could say that they are unfree, you can, and that's, I guess, what the myth of Sisyphus is also a bit about, you can give your own direction to those things. You can color in the painting or drawing or whatever the way you would like to. So you can use hope to push yourself forward to things that you think are in a relative way better for yourselves than other things. But I do think that it's quite nice to also be aware of the fact that whatever you're hoping for is also preventing you in the moment from being, and maybe also what you would eventually hope for if you would truly come to understand hope as a concept on its own. Made sense?
Yeah. I kind of try to translate this into my words, because you can tell me if it's like, if I didn't understand it or if I did, because I really will translate it into my words. So I will also add a few of my ideas.
Yes.
So
go on.
So the idea is we humans basically want to become happy, and we often hope that we think that if I get this, I'm happy, or if I reach this, I'm more happy, or if this, and
but it doesn't have to it doesn't just have to be for the sake of happiness. We can also hope for other things.
Yeah, but okay, I think if you go really deep, nearly all of our goals are based in happiness. Like you could also call it what you think is right, but it's happiness in the broadest sense. So it's not only this, oh, I'm so happy happiness, but it's also the fulfillment. It's also the being proud. This can also like this is what we chase after as humans, and but also not directly consciously. Like some people chase behind money because they think this will make them happy, or some people chase behind like other things because they think this will make them happy, and not even because they consciously think it, but because like we chase behind goals. And but basically we all want to be happy in the broad sense, not happy in the hooray sense, but happy in the broadest sense. Let's say call it happy fulfilled or something. Okay, so we all chase that, and we all chase different things to attain this. But the true way to attain it would be to just be it. Like you will not be happy fulfilled. When you reach something, you will just. The only way to be it is to be it. Like you just. There's only one moment in which you are, and in this moment, you can accept, you can be happy, and you. Is this what you try to say, or is it something else?
I guess a bit, yeah. But then again, you're oriented towards how do you then, I guess, be in the moment. I guess you've got to come to accept very fundamental aspects of yourself that you normally wouldn't consider of accepting, and also accepting that maybe the baseline of being is not as happy as it might seem, or as you want it to be, because we tend to leave out certain aspects of who we are because we think we have to be something else, and that's often influenced by the notion of happiness That's why we don't want to accept whatever we are now, I guess. More than that, probably.
So, what do you say is the goal here?
Of what?
Of
anything? I don't know.
You're right. This is a hard question, but no.
Yes.
What is?
Because you have two fundamental questions on the podcast now.
Yeah.
Did we already cover any of those or no?
No, we are. Yeah, I think the psychedelics part is for sure linked to it, but I think we're getting into it. So
Okay.
it's not that I only ask those two questions on the podcast. It's like the podcast, but this is like the guiding structure. Yes. So you made some like. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but and it's maybe a little. It's my way of saying it. But you made some claims that that this achieving of, for example, non-duality and or this accepting where you are now and not this chasing, hoping, is somehow better.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think you can come to see hope or something like this as something that prevents you from anything or is bad in itself, because it's quite easy to do that when you indeed see the state of non-duality, or I don't know, being free from your ego as more positive than something else. But I mean, bottom line, you are also your ego, even if it's just a construct that is in some way maybe from the outside non-existent and just something you've created for yourself as a survival mechanism or whatever. It doesn't mean that right now, on empirical evidence, you're not your ego. I mean, you are, right?
Yes.
In a way, to some extent.
For sure.
So there's this nice quote: to learn to understand is to be free. And so then you're not, I'll give you some time to dissect that. Yeah,
to learn to understand
is to be free.
Is to be free. What do you mean by to learn to understand? Or what is the person that made this quote?
I don't know who
the
fuck it was.
But what is to learn to understand?
Well, so you learn for the sake of understanding on its own, and not to, for example, to learn to say this is bad or this is good. I want to be there, or I want to be there because I'm going to be more happy there or not. It's just learning to understand, and that's it.
Just learning for its own sake.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's a lot of space on how you are then going to, I guess, what attitude you are going to have towards all those things that you learn about and understand.
So you say, when I have the problem with saying that believing that non-duality is good and like hoping is bad or stuff, it's like this is not the right way of seeing it. But
I got it. But I also don't want to be the fucking Buddha here, man. I also don't know.
It's so hard because but it's not right because there is no right or wrong.
Yes,
it just is, and non-duality is not better because there is nothing better. Even if you reach non-duality, it's like there's just everything is the same. Or if you're non-dual, or if you're like if you're I don't even know if you say if you're non-dual, but if you're in this state or in your normal ego state, like there is no state that is really better than another state. Is this what you believe?
Yeah.
There is no state that is better than another state?
I guess so, but at the same time, I do go through my daily life with frustrations, I guess, with issues, with conflict. It's not like because I believe in that, let's say, that I also experience it. There's many things that consist, and I mean, this is also something that in the protocol we involve, like all these things that even if you do realize something to be true, which can be easy on psychedelics, because you have this one shot experience, like, whoa, I experienced non-duality, I'm one with everything, damn. But then it becomes a belief, because then you go on with your life and you don't experience that anymore. And sometimes you can try to look for it again, attain it, like, I want to be there again. But then again, you're preventing yourself, even by conceptualizing the experience as being non-dual or whatever. So
that is interesting. So if non-duality, if you're non-dual, being non-dual is not a goal.
Let's say it's a thing, right? We're assuming it's a thing. It is not the thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then, it is not a goal. So now we can understand that it's nothing like if you chase after, you essentially try to learn, or you try to reach the point where you realize that there's nothing to reach.
Sure.
And this is a contradiction in itself, like trying to...
But that's why the will is very important.
Wait.
Yes.
Keep this thought with the will.
I will.
Okay. So I think I have it now. So the fundamental underlying thing is that there is no state that is better than another state. There is just everything is fine. But we as humans live in a way of existing where we feel like some things are better than other things, and we chase behind certain things and some things not. And but it's not true, because in I say maybe we have to discuss about this, but I just try to paraphrase what we were. So there's no state that's better than another state, but we humans, we feel like there are states that are better than others. And
maybe there also are. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I agree. But let's say if this is true, there are ways to experience that, or no, there are states where you experience that everything is the same, like everything is. And those states you can reach them through psychedelics.
Sure.
Or through really long meditation, for example.
Sure.
And this is the state that we call non-duality. And this state is not better than other states, because no state is better than another state, but it is the state where, if this is true, you experience this more close to truth. But this doesn't mean that it's better.
You maybe experience things that we value a lot, like a sense of calmness, I think. Peace, serenity, compassion, rest, stuff like this, and we maybe even more freedom, I guess. So I guess it can be seen as something, I don't know, something more valuable, let's say.
But if it's true, then it's not more valuable, because everything is the same. So
yes.
It's only a way of experiencing true. If it's true, let's say it's true, that the
non-dual state.
That no state is better than another state.
Sure.
Yeah, let's say that this is true, and the non-dual state is a way of experiencing that nothing is better than.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's say this is true. In this
That's
case,
a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. In this case, the only way of experiencing, or like you can't, like, to go into a non-dual state is a way of experiencing true reality or something, however you want to call it, if there is like true reality. But it's not a state that is better than another state, because there is no state that is better. So there are better states and non-better states thinking, we think, oh, it's better because it's more true. But if we really understand it, we understand that this is not better. This is just another way of experiencing. But it's just a way of experiencing the truth that nothing is better than something else. But that doesn't mean, like, because nothing is better than something else, it doesn't mean that we have to chase for this, because it's nothing is better than something else. But all under the promise that nothing is better than something else, and we don't know, or I don't know.
Right. Well, let's say this state does exist. I don't think it can be attained through striving for it.
You don't think so?
No.
I would debate you on this.
All right.
Okay, because
let's debate.
Okay.
At this late hour.
At this late hour. No. I want. This is just a way of saying that I disagree, and I want to talk about this. So, this state is nothing that can be attained through active striving. I think you can, because how, like, you want to passively fall into it. No, you can't. You will probably not passively fall into the non-dual state. So I think if you want to achieve it, you have to make this goal, and this goal will dissolve in the end, like when you achieve it. Like, I make this goal and I start meditating. I try to train, or if I want to achieve it through psychedelics, which would be much shorter and not like lasting, but then I would consciously like try to get psychedelics, try to get the right setting, everything, and then like try to attain it. And in the process of it, like, let's say I go the meditation route, so I become like a Buddhist monk and just sit on like my stone every day and like meditate for 20 years. And in every moment of meditating, I have this goal that I want to achieve to not have any goals.
Right.
But with every moment of meditating, I also get closer to it, and by that let this goal go away. But that doesn't mean that I still need this goal in the first place to start the meditating, to start to try. And through the process of meditation, I leave all my goals go, including the goal to reach non-duality. So yeah,
that's a fair approach. That could work also, I would say. Yeah. Okay. I guess I can be quite pragmatic in already stating, well, if you start with having a goal, then you're already on a wrong path. That's it, wrong. Yeah. But of course it's not like that, because indeed often things begin with creating good habits and I guess discipline and stuff, and from that you create the space for yourself to learn, to understand,
to let go, to understand. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's a bit of I guess it's a bit of a paradox of why.
I get your point as well, because like if your goal is to not have any goals, then this is already a problem.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And I guess that's where the value of the will comes in.
Perfect. Yeah.
Nice bridge, huh? Because if you learn to value the will for its own sake and not for the attainment of anything else other than for valuing the will for itself, then in a way there's already you're much more on one page with yourself. And actually I think if you would be able to completely value the will for its own sake and not to attain something else, maybe you could say that you've reached some form of enlightenment.
Can you define the will?
Damn.
Yeah,
no, it's a good question. I mean, if I'm using those words, I should also be able to define them. The will.
Just in the way you were using it, like
but it's I mean, it's a word that it can be very easily used, and of course we have some common understanding of it. But I guess it's the agency of action.
What does this mean? The agency of action. This is like a fancy, like.
Yes. So let's.
Okay, will is what you want, or.
Yeah, but sure. I basically everything we do is based on will, whether it be conscious or not.
Okay, so the will is what you want consciously or unconsciously.
Sure. Yeah.
So this
the
the part of you that wants.
yeah.
The conscious and unconscious part of you that wants.
Sure.
Maybe this is this a definition?
yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
But we could. I think Immanuel Kant would have some
Yeah.
very nice,
Yeah.
nicely phrased.
Probably. But now let's keep with this definition. So the part of you that wants consciously and unconsciously.
Yeah.
Make your point again. I'm sorry.
Well, if you're able to value that for its own sake,
yeah,
and not to go anywhere else. So don't treat it as something that's instrumental to let you go towards something, but to base your actions, your principle of acting, so whatever makes you act a certain way, base it on the things that come from the bottom, let's say, and not by looking at the top. So basing your will and your wants on your principles that don't have anything to do with the goal that you want to attain, but have only something to do with the will itself. It's quite vague. Also still for me, I guess.
But isn't the will what you want? Or
it is.
No, wait, you okay. Valuing.
I mean, maybe it's what leads you to act, to want.
To act, to want. Wait, well, what does it mean to act, to want? It
No, go on, because I'm also lost there.
Okay. So the will is it the thing that lets you to act at all?
Yeah.
Or is it the thing that is it your wants, or is it your the thing that leads you to your actions? It's like kind of the same, but maybe
Can we look up a definition
of will? Yeah, of course.
Nice.
I can. So
maybe look up the definition of will by Immanuel Kant.
Definition. Okay, wait. I'm in the.
Or just normal.
I'm in the normal.
Yeah, go on.
So,
agency of action. No.
Expressing the future tense.
What?
Expressing inevitable events. Okay, wait. Maybe WILL, right?
Yes.
Okay, wait. I go. Immanuel Kant.
Yes, we're getting Kant in there.
Immanuel Kant will. Okay, will within philosophy is a faculty of the mind. Will is important as one of the parts of the mind, along with reason and understanding. It is considered central to the field of ethics because of its role enabling deliberate action. Yeah, okay. It's next. It's a part next to reason and understanding.
Sure.
And it is.
I don't know how this is making it clear.
Yeah, I also don't know.
Don't you have like one sentence of?
Wait. The will, Kant says, is the faculty of acting according to a concept of law.
Yeah, no, leave out the concept of law. But that's kind of what I said. No, the agency of action.
The agency of action. This is for me. This doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, because it's very abstract.
Yeah,
I guess that's also what it is. Because it can have you can have such a different connotation with those words, and as I have.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's just try to use whatever definition we have now, and now you can make your point again, and then.
Well, so if the primacy of the will can be valued for its own sake, then did that make like if you?
What does it mean to like the will for its own sake? So
let's say you do everything in your daily life. You undertake many things, but never are you able to, or at least that's what I'm assuming. I am not.
I think I just had like an aha moment. Yeah.
To go back to the root of all action, and to give attention to that, and to value that action no, it comes before action, right? Will comes before action. To value that for its own sake, and to also base your actions based on that is very difficult, because we're always treating our life as instruments. Like, and we're recording a podcast now. You've set up these mics in order to record a podcast, stuff like this. You didn't set up the mic
for their own sake.
Yes, exactly. But that's fair, that's life. I just wanted to make the argument that in non-duality, I don't think there can be any form of instrumentality in your actions. And I think you can get there, let's say, by valuing the will for its own sake. Did it make more sense or no?
I think. Well, let me try.
It's also becoming quite lexical
here. Yeah. So doing things for the sake of doing things is something that it's not better, because we already made this. But we want, like, when you do things, when you want things, and therefore you do things. Is it that you should just, like, I think I have two ways of understanding this, and you have to tell me which one is the right way. So the first one would be that we should stop wanting things and just doing things for their own sake. Don't have to. And the second way would say that we could keep wanting things, but just enjoying the process of wanting, doing, and just seeing this whole process of wanting and doing, not for I want because I want to achieve, but like this wanting is also part of me, and I enjoy this wanting and the striving. Like I'm setting those microphones up to record a podcast, but I still, like, all this process of setting the mic up, I still treat it as if it was like for its own sake. Mm-hmm. Which of the two is it, like? Or,
I don't know.
Or none of them should.
No, I am. As said, I'm not the Buddha. I also don't know. Like, I'm also learning myself. But when I think about, when these concepts were provided to me, the will and being able to value it for its own sake, it did resonate a little bit with me, and I was like, that should be. If you're going to value anything, then it should be the things where it starts, which is the will, and not the things where it ends.
Man, I would really like to understand it. Oh, I'm sorry, like, if anyone's listening and understands what you mean, and I'm like the one that okay.
I think the last part was quite simple.
Yeah.
That you're able to value the things where you start and not where you want to go, let's say. So anything you do in life, any action you undertake, if you're able to value the things that make you perform those actions, then I guess it's easier to live a fulfilled life.
So basically just enjoying exactly the thing, like enjoying where you are right now, and not like forgetting, like the action you do is not, like you forget that it's, of course it can be based on the future because you are human and most of your actions are based on the future, but you try in the moment to just do the action as if it was like the action. I want to set up those microphones for the podcast, but this whole process of wanting for a podcast is all abstract. And in the end, I'm just here right now and I'm just setting up those microphones. And of course, I want this for a reason, but it's still an action that I do right now.
I got you. I guess it can be quite clearly explained if you go into the fields of ethics, for example. Because that's where we always try to do the good things. And so Kant would say that your will has to be good on its own for any action to be good. Let's say if there's an old poor lady outside and I want to help her, I can either want to help her because it makes me feel good, or whatever, like I have some personal motivation, or I don't, but I still help her. Result, a consequentialist would say it's the same thing because the woman is being helped. But what you could argue then is that the will of that person who helps the woman because it makes himself feel better for whatever sake, is less free than the will of the person who is helping the woman because he understands that that is the right thing to do based on his principles. And so if you can make your will less self-interested in a way where it's based on you wanting to attain a certain goal or whatever, but rather focus on the will itself by establishing some form of values for yourself, principle. I mean, this is is quite a pragmatic way of thinking. But then you give attention to the things that consciously matter to you and not that drive you. Let's say self-interest because you want to help the woman. Did it make sense a little bit or no? Because for me, I've never explained it in this way before.
Yeah, but if you build up morals and stuff,
yes,
then you still do it for, maybe you don't have an outcome, but it's still for a goal. Like you still help her because you want to follow your. Okay, no, you always want. So if you don't want something, if you wouldn't want anything, you would do nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't do anything without having like a little bit of want.
Sure.
But. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is the first part. You always. Okay, so there's a difference in wanting to help her to get something else, or just wanting to help her
because you think
it's the right thing.
Yes, and this is where a lot of criticism on Kant's philosophy comes in, because it says that the more terrible a person is, the more good he can do, because he doesn't feel as inclined to help the woman. At least, a very bad person, let's say, who still helps a woman, doesn't do it because it makes him feel good or whatever, or at least you can be sure of that. But I guess that's also where he can get misinterpreted a bit, because that wasn't really the essence of what he was trying to say with that. He was saying that you should base your actions on fundamental principles and not on anything else.
But if I base my action... So not on goals, but on principles. So this is the difference between goals and principles.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, then I get it maybe. Because if you have like the goal to have like the most positive impact on the world, then, and that's why you help the woman. That's something else than when you have like the principle of I want to help people. Mm-hmm. You think there's a difference? Because I think...
Yeah, go on.
Because I think that there is like the most efficient way to reach something is, or I'm really, really on the goal side. I'm really on the
German.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I'm really German.
Yeah.
I'm really German. Exactly. And so I choose. So I try to clearly find, okay, what is my objective here? Why? Like I'm actually even like a little bit against principles, because I think it's not true. There are arguments to be found for principles, but still those principles are for a goal. Like I try to define a goal, and this is the direction I'm going, and not just principles. Because and you say, or Kant says that principles are better than goals.
I don't know if he says that. I would like to have my philosophy teacher here to correct me. But let me think a bit. I guess what he says is that he also believes in some kind of universality of all principles that should make you want to do the good, and he says that it has to be free of self-love and self-interest, but has to be done purely performed because it's the good and the right thing to do. With that, you can argue that there's also a goal for him himself involved, or self-love even involved, to base actions on reason and to base everything on, maybe not even on reason, but on fundamental principles of the will. And that can also be defined as a goal, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Yes, it's very.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very difficult to. But Kant, to some extent, was aware of that. But he said that humans should still aim, let's say, again, a goal, to base actions on the most rational thing to do, which is principles.
Yeah.
And no goals, because any goal is self-interested and influenced by self-love, and you shouldn't listen to those things. Kant said.
I have to look into this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's an interesting thought. It's not... I think it's a really hard to understand thought. It's nothing that you can just like, okay, this is it. It's pretty late already. Cube maybe closed 20 minutes ago, or it will close in 10 minutes.
Oh,
so, but I have a closing question that I always ask. And this question is if there's one thing you can advise people, like one piece of distilled knowledge that you can advise people to read, listen to, watch, like a book, a podcast, maybe YouTube video. You could give your own product now, but this would be fake.
this camera, right?
Yeah,
not that one. Go to www.mindtrospect.com and enter your email if you want to be subscribed to the mailing list. The website is not... is somebody coming?
Yeah, there's. I think we're gonna get kicked out.
Should I have to be fast?
You want to say something else about your product?
The website is not nearly finished. It's pretty awful still, but
it looks nice.
Thank you. But you can subscribe and be updated about when we launch and stuff, and maybe you can buy our product if you would like. Only for yourself, not for me.
I think we're thrown out now. Okay, we'll leave. Yeah.
But we can go.
You want to say a product for a second? Oh no, not a product, not your product. You want to?
No, yeah, I wanted to. Yeah. I wanted to say that the book of Friedrich Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil, is a nice read. Was it the one you started reading?
I think not. Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah.
No, I read Thus Spoke Zarathustra.
Oh yeah.
And this is so hard to read. So weird. So weird. Okay, Beyond Good and Evil.
I would recommend that book.
You read it all the way through?
No, I'm still reading it.
Okay,
but I think
but you
nice.
can,
yeah,
you're not like because with Thus Spoke Zarathustra, I started reading in German, of course.
Oh,
and
I think in German it's much more difficult. At least I've heard.
Okay, maybe I should read it in English. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I try.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Wouter, I really enjoyed talking to you, and now we have to pack up really fast.
Likewise.
Because we were nearly kicked out.
Thank you, and thank you guys for listening as well.
Yeah. This has been a Rational Optimization podcast. I hope you learned something. See you in the next one.